hi.
We are doing it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Welcome to Grave Crimes Podcast YouTube thing.
Those things.
Yep.
Those things.
Just at the top, I want to say follow us and email. Email us if you have an idea for a case.
Yes.
/haunt.
Because, okay, so we talked about this today. One of the problems that we're having is finding something that has paranormal.
A lot of paranormal.
Yeah. Enough that's not just like speculation, right?
Right.
So we feel like we need to maybe start with the haunted place and then find the crime that was attached to it.
Correct.
And work backwards because, we don't want to disappoint you guys. And, I mean, it is a true crime / paranormal podcast, and without the paranormal piece, then we're just like everybody else. I don't want to be like everybody else.
We're definitely not like everybody
else. That's for sure.
Okay, so for the drinks this week,
we just didn't know what the fuck to do.
We did something. We did something different.
We did.
So we're doing Jane Toppan.
Toppan, yeah.
Toppan.
We'll go with that one.
So.
And her nickname was Jolly Jane.
Jolly Jane.
Not because she was killing people, just to be clear.
Yeah.
So,
you changed yours a little?
A little bit. So,
do you want to rename it, or are you just going to call it?
Well, I don't even know what the hell the original one was called. Wasn't it like the Angel of Death or something like that? We think that's the name of it. So I was inspired by, if you guys remember, the Gettysburg Orphanage episode and the whole idea of having a black drink.
Yes.
So my favorite color is purple. And I mean, it's not the most jolly of colors. Really, yours is more jolly. But I wanted to try to do something fun. And part of it is, so we've generally tried to pick drinks that have something to do with the crime or the haunting or whatever. But what's happening is we've run out of space in the bar, and we've also run out of funds to keep buying things that we don't generally have. Because they ask for some strange shit sometimes. Yeah. As we know, cuttlefish ink is not something you normally keep in your house. But like the one that we found, they wanted Averna, which is a form of Amaro, which is something I also did not have. And then the blue curacao, which is a very specific thing for very specific drinks. Anyway, I'm rambling at this point. So I went with the Angel of Death general idea. So what I did was the Botanist Gin, which is more floral. And Benedictine, because we bought that for our podcast. Might as well use it.
Yes.
But basically, it's cucumber and a pinch of salt muddled into, in the shaker thing.
Fancy shit she's doing here.
I know, right?
Wait to hear mine.
So I muddled the cucumber and salt, and then I added 2 ounces of the gin, 1 ounce of the Benedictine, and then to make it really fucking fun, I added purple food coloring, because by the end of the episode, my mouth will be purple, and I thought that would be interesting and fun. But I also thought this was kind of like a jolly, fun thing to do.
Yeah.
So, there's that. And yours, Miss Heather? Very creative.
It's vodka, ginger ale, pineapple juice, and a fucking lemon. And I'm going to call it Jane Toppan Stop Groping Me. That's what I'm going to call it.
All right, then. That sounds like a fun one. I'm not opposed. Shall we try our concoctions then?
Yeah.
Wow. I almost took the whole thing out. Cheers.
That's fucking good. Switch.
I get a lot of cucumber.
Cucumber.
Well,
you muddled the hell out of that.
I did. I beat the shit out of it. Do you mind if I use a straw?
Go for it.
That is quite yummy.
Oh! That is very cucumbery.
I don't think the food coloring did anything, like in terms of taste.
No.
I don't think so. Because it's generally not supposed to.
No.
Otherwise, you're...
It's a cucumbery gin drink.
Yes, and that's also part of the reason why I picked the Botanist. I thought it would be good because it is already a floral. It's not so much on the juniper.
Right.
So I figured that would work. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see how my mouth looks later. I'm going to have to brush my teeth before I leave so I don't scare the shit out of people on the drive home.
No,
I'm just going to look over. Scare the shit out of everybody.
pretty damn good. Look at that.
It has an interesting flavor. Yeah.
That's what she said.
I'm not sure. I think it might be the Benedictine, maybe. That's giving it. It's like, I don't know. I don't know if it's the cucumber
Cucumber.
or if it's the Benedictine, but it has this like, I won't say slimy because that just sounds wrong, but it has this flavor that, or this, no, it's the mouthfeel. That just feels like soft or something. I don't know, whatever. We're not doing an alcohol.
Smooth.
We're not doing a cocktail podcast.
True.
So we should probably get
into this.
Okay. So do you want to start or
Sure.
Go for it.
So we're gonna start. Well, yes, we're gonna start.
That's usually how this works. There's a start and an end.
We're doing Jane Toppan, who was born Honora Kelly.
And I love that name.
I do too. I love the name Honora. I think it's such a beautiful name.
It is, and I saw that she was referred to as Nora in some cases, which I don't know if I had a name like a Nora.
I love that name. That's beautiful.
I don't really like it when people shorten my name either. So there's that.
Cynthia.
Yes. Don't call me Cindy. I will become the next topic for the podcast. Anyway.
She was born March 31st of 1854.
In
Massachusetts.
In Boston.
Yeah, Massachusetts.
Cousin from Boston. I cannot do, I love Bostonian accents. Can't do it to save my life, but I love the way they sound.
Well, her mom died when she was very young of TB.
Mm-hmm.
Dad was known as an eccentric crackpot.
Yes.
I mean,
abusive alcoholic.
Yes. The first part is not the worst thing to be known as, but abusive alcoholic, not so much.
Yeah. I just love the term crackpot.
I do too.
We're not supposed to love these people. This is not how this is supposed to work. We're supposed to detest them.
Yes. I had a kid hiss at a teacher this week. It was fantastic.
Goody.
She's one of my favorite kids, actually. In 1860, Dad surrendered his two youngest children.
Wait.
Oh, yeah. She found more things. Shocking. She has more detailed notes than me.
I had to include this. Did you see the part where he supposedly
sewed his eyes shut?
Yeah, he sewed his eyelids shut when he was working as a tailor. Oh, God.
Later in life, yeah. So, I mean,
how would you even do that?
He probably got wet brain.
But what I mean is, like, I understand the concept behind being fucked up enough to do it. I'm just, like, the actual physical act of doing it, like, not poking your... I mean, you'd have to be able to see
maybe
what you were doing.
He did poke his eyes.
I would imagine he must have. Mm-hmm. Okay, anyway, moving on. That's not the topic.
Owie. Yeah, so he surrendered his two youngest kids to the Boston Female Asylum. Back then, the word asylum was basically just like a place of safety. So that was an orphanage.
Yes.
Asylum could have been an orphanage, it could have been a mental hospital, it could have been a bunch of different things.
Yes, but the crazy part is the more you delve into what an asylum or an insane hospital was about back then.
Yeah.
I was reading some of this because I fell down the rabbit hole with this one and I ended up on abandonedamerica.com. Very cool site, FYI.
Yeah, abandoned places are awesome.
Mm-hmm. So cool. But like, you know, people were institutionalized for like the stupidest shit. Yeah,
women hysteria. Did you ever read how they would treat hysteria?
No.
Giving women orgasms.
Oh,
who's not hysterical if you haven't been laid in a while? Like, are you kidding?
And I mean, you know, like during it, you could probably even seem more hysterical.
So the doctors that's why the vibrator was invented.
Oh, good to know.
FYI.
The more you know. We are so much alike, it's not funny. Ow! God damn it. By the way, did you see her sister's name?
Oh,
Delia.
I know, another pretty one.
Mm-hmm. And then that also makes me think of Beetlejuice, which I mentioned, I think, last episode too. Clearly, that's one of my favorite movies. So, yeah. Moving on.
Yes. So she went to, first off, an orphanage / whatever for indignant female children.
Indignant or
indignant?
Indigent. Indigent? What is indigent?
Yeah.
I forget the actual definition here.
I thought it was indignant.
I mean, they could be that too. You know, I just realized that it was already on the internet because that's where I have my notes and didn't have to like shrink it. I'm an idiot. Indigent. Definition. Poor or needy. Not quite the same as...
fuck.
Not quite the same as whatever the hell word you used. I forgot already.
What?
Indignant.
That makes much more sense.
It does. A little bit.
Oh, Christ. Okay.
And I'm hot.
I can too. It's so hot in here.
It is, and the alcohol ain't helping either. Anyway.
So her sister, 8-year-old Delia,
Mm-hmm.
and she was 6 at the time. And there were notes in their records that they came from a very miserable home life.
Yes.
They did have another older sister, Nellie, who became a sex worker.
I thought that was Delia. Though Delia became the prostitute, and then the sister, Nellie, was committed to an insane asylum.
Yes, she did, but she was at first a sex
maybe
worker.
they both were.
And 2 years after being put in the orphanage, she did become an indentured servant in a home.
Yes.
So that means she was 8 years old.
Yeah.
As an indentured servant.
Mm-hmm.
In Mrs. Ann C. Toppin's house of Lowell, Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
And she did take on their surname.
Even though she wasn't actually adopted by them.
Correct. She wanted to distance herself from her family. I mean, honestly, being 8 years old and feeling enough shame to distance yourself from your family, that's pretty sad.
It is.
I don't know if you have anything else, but
No,
I skip ahead
like
to age 31.
Yeah, there's this giant gap.
Yeah.
Well, so that was, something like that. That's when she started training at Cambridge Hospital, right?
Mm-hmm.
Decided she wants to be a nurse.
Interesting.
Hello, nurse.
Yeah.
It's funny, there's a hockey player whose last name is Nurse, so every time I see that jersey, that's what I do.
What
Sorry.
team?
I fuck if I know. I don't remember. If it's not the Islanders, generally, I mean, I know some of the Ranger players' names just because, I hate them, but... Anyway.
So, apparently in her earlier years, she was described as brilliant and also terrible. But at the hospital, staff described her as friendly, and she was actually very well liked and became known as Jolly Jane.
Yes. Which is where I got the name for that shit.
Her favorite patients were the ones who were elderly and also very sick.
Mm-hmm. I can't do that. I just threw my laptop on the floor.
Oh my God, can you imagine?
That would not make for good podcasts. Just saying. We might have a problem. We already had problems. I had to update my firmware.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Toppin used her patients as guinea pigs with mixes of morphine and atropine.
Yeah, what is atropine exactly?
I don't know, but honestly, don't think I'd mind being her guinea pig at that point.
I mean, look,
it says she would alter the dosages and the charts, and she would get them to points of unconsciousness.
It's an anti-motility agent.
I know what that is.
Used in the treatment of diarrhea.
That's fucking terrible.
So what did it do?
So it stops. I understand how it works. So it basically stops your the spasms in your intestines, which basically that's how it helps the diarrhea.
Right. So if you didn't have diarrhea, then you're going to be packed.
Your muscles are going to stop. She's killing them. Who cares if they're packed? I guess.
I mean. Why? But why that? Why did you want to impact these people and have them literally full of shit?
Because it's also, if you do it in high enough dosage, it's stopping all your muscles.
Right. So they
probably still had feeling, but no mobility, which is why she was also using the morphine. Yeah. Interesting.
You said that the whole nervous system thing. Yeah, we got that already.
Yeah. So
she's creepy.
Yeah, she's a creepy bitch.
Did you mention the part where she got in bed with them?
Oh yeah. So she would basically drug them, get into bed with them. Mm-hmm. Fondle them.
Yes.
And I'm gonna jump to basically where her confession was as to why she did these things.
Okay.
Before I jump into
we're going back and forth a little bit.
I just want to jump into why she would get into it. She said that she got a sexual thrill.
Yes, and the whole thing about their eyes,
yeah, that she said she saw about their soul or something in their eyes.
Yeah, the quote that I found was to see the inner workings of their souls through their eyes. Blech.
To me,
Really?
to me, she's playing God.
She just fucked
Yeah,
up.
it's all about control. The sexual aspect to me is about control.
Yes.
And then she's playing God as far as, like, bringing them back and letting them go and bringing them back. And I mean, I don't know if this had to do with her growing up or, I mean, the age I always find very interesting because that would technically, I guess, be the age of where her parents would be at that
point,
time.
yes.
Yeah, so that is weird, but.
Like punishment through others.
Yeah, it's weird. Anyway, she was recommended to the Massachusetts General Hospital in 1889 because she was so wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
After several people died in her care, she was fired. And I did some, like, a little extra research. And apparently, they became suspicious when one of the other nurses walked in and she was snuggling and kissing one of the patients So after that, they went back and looked and saw that, a lot of people have died. This is weird. So they fired her.
Yes. And then she went back to Cambridge.
She went back to Cambridge and eventually was fired for administering opiates recklessly.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, she began to do private care.
Yeah, you know what? I guess obviously it was different back then because, like, I feel like if you got caught doing that shit today, you'd have your license revoked.
And you'd probably be in jail.
Well, yes, jail at the very least. But, like, if you couldn't find enough evidence or if it was just speculated or whatever, I feel like you would have lost your license to practice.
Yeah.
Just saying. Yeah. But she was also repeatedly accused of petty theft during her time as a private nurse.
Yes.
And then she started killing everybody.
Yeah, then she went on a spree.
Mm-hmm.
So a spree, in psychological murdery terms, is basically like you start killing without what's the word I'm looking for?
Like reckless abandon.
Yeah. So like normally, like she almost had like an MO beforehand where she was like the elderly. That now she's just kind of like fucking going after everybody.
I think she did have purpose.
Everything did kind of have a purpose.
Yes.
Like I'm not really sure about her landlord and his wife.
Well, I think
most of them had some sort. The people that she killed, otherwise, I know she killed somebody because she wanted her job.
Yes. So that I think was actually the. I have that in here. So I believe that was. I don't have her name, but it was a housekeeper. That she wanted to basically, she didn't kill her.
No, she got her sick and made her look drunk.
Yeah. She made her look drunk so that the family would fire her, and then hire Jane.
Yeah.
And then she killed that family.
Which is strange to me because she didn't seem to care about who she killed. So, like, why not just off this lady?
Well, yeah, I mean...
I mean...
Maybe she was afraid that it was going to be too obvious.
Could be.
Especially considering that she had already been fired for very inappropriate behavior.
Yeah.
So, did you see that in 1889 she killed her foster sister?
Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering about that. I'm wondering if that was like a jealousy thing.
I'm gonna go with probably because it also did seem to be her MO as well. Like,
yeah,
I saw that a couple other times with different cases of people that she murdered, that it had something to do with jealousy. I thought it was interesting that she used strychnine.
So
I love that word. I mean, obviously, it's just.
I looked up
like
strychnine,
the spelling and everything,
and it causes really painful muscle spasms.
Oh, goody.
Stiffness, and then eventually respiratory failure and seizures and death.
Oh, goody.
So I'm wondering. I mean, to me, that I guess back then I think strychnine was kind of a common poison.
It was just a lot right there. Woof.
I feel like you would know if that was something that you were getting maybe poisoned with. So I'm wondering what the dosages were. I know
it had to be high.
Yeah, it says she killed her landlord and his wife.
Mm-hmm. And then she moved in 1901. She moved in with an elderly man, Alden Davis.
Mm-hmm. This is where she fucks up.
Yeah.
This was her fuck up.
Yep. So.
And they always do.
They do. They get careless. So Alden Davis has her move in to care for him after his wife Maddie had died, who P.S. Jane had killed.
Yes.
They didn't really go into, they didn't elaborate. I'm assuming she was in the hospital.
I guess.
And she was one of the victims in the hospital.
Well, that was I don't know, 1901, she was out of the hospital at this point.
Right. But when did she get fired? And it was
1889.
Right. So that's what? 11, 12 years later? I mean, it's certainly possible.
It's 2 years later.
1889 to 1901?
Nope, just kidding.
I mean,
math is so not my thing. It's not even funny.
It's not really mine either.
Listen, you're much better than I am.
I count to tens. 1889, 1899. Oh, look at that shit.
Listen, I'm actually 22.
I like that theory. I'm good with percentages, like, when there's sales.
You know what I'm really good, which is really fucking strange, in like theory, like physics and weird things like that. I had in college someone behind me doing like their physics thing, and they were like explaining like quantum theory and all these weird fucking things. And then I said, yeah, but if you do this, this, and this, I'm like, oh my god, that was it. And I was like, fucking seriously?
But sometimes looking at it, right, if you know nothing,
yeah,
if you look at it from the most simple aspect,
right,
sometimes that helps.
Yeah.
But like I said, anytime there's I swear to God, Steve makes fun of me all the time because I'm like, maybe I'm cheap. I don't know. But I can figure out when there's a sale and there's a percentage off. I'm like, no problem with the figuring that out.
I do that sometimes, but not.
Well, first of all, not to get into a math lesson, but like 10% of something is relatively easy. You just move the decimal, and it's kind of the same thing. So if it's 15%, it's 10, and then half of whatever.
I always do the is over of equals percent over 100.
That's way too much.
It's actually pretty easy.
No, just move the decimal point over. It's just, I don't know why I have any time with that one.
Yeah, well,
you'll have to teach me the one that maybe you shouldn't. I'll get really confused.
It's pretty much the same thing, honestly. It's just in a fraction form.
Oh, well, I'll have to see it. But yeah, he picks on me all the time because I convinced the guy at Michael's checkout that I had a 50% off coupon, and I stood there long enough and irritated the shit out of him enough that he just gave it to me.
He probably got fired. He's probably like, it's worth it.
I also returned 10-year-old molding from Home Depot because it still had the ticket on it. And they didn't use it. And they took it.
It's always good to know return policies.
Yes. Well, Home Depot, Costco, all those places just take shit back.
Oh, really?
Apparently you can return dead Christmas trees to Costco.
I'm going to start buying Christmas trees at Costco, put them up, and then return them afterwards. Keep the tag on.
Just saying.
The more you know. Look at us today.
We're giving life hacks. Moving on. So she had killed Alden Davis's wife, Maddie. And then in 1901, like we said, she moves in with Alden Davis. And within just a few weeks, she had killed him, his sister Edna, and two of his daughters, Minnie and Genevieve, another name I like.
I was going to say I like that name too. I like the name Minnie too. That's cute.
It is cute, but then all I can think of is Minnie Mouse. I don't think that's Mickey, but whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. So I thought this was kind of interesting. That the family actually ordered a toxicology test. It was,
I think, Minnie's husband.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would make sense. But even, like, the whole idea of a toxicology test back then.
And I looked up, so I started to dive into how they did toxicology tests back then.
Yeah, so you went in a different direction than I did with this.
Because I was really interested. I'm like, how did they know? Like, this was, like,
How many years ago?
Many. Yeah, it's like, how did they know? Besides, I would think the symptoms of death, or like if, sometimes you died and you had blue lips, or like your eyes would have like certain like
petechia.
Yeah, certain things. But
I know that word.
I was like, how did they know? And then I just got led down these things of like research paper after research paper, and I said, fuck it, I'm not doing this right now.
Like I said, I ended up on the abandonedamerica.com.
Yep.
Which is really cool. They showed the abandoned Six Flags.
Oh.
The one in Louisiana.
Nice.
New Orleans area.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really cool.
Uh-huh.
Never mind these paranormal field trips. Can you go to like abandoned places?
Yes. Actually, some of the homes are like incredible.
You know where I want to go? There's a Wizard of Oz theme park.
No, fuck that place. It's probably fucking weird.
That's my favorite movie.
I love that movie too.
But I want to go there. And apparently they do an event every year.
Oh, they do?
They do open it up, so it's not like it's completely off whatever. Squirrel! Okay. So yes, they were able. Don't mind me. I'm cooling myself
Yes,
off.
it's lovely up here.
They were able to figure out that she'd been poisoned.
Yeah.
So clearly, given the fact that I guess she was the only remaining living human in that house, they decided to follow her. And she was arrested on October 29th, 1901.
And then, you know what? As I was writing that, I'm like, October 29th. I'm like, why does that... Is that the day that Sylvia Likens died?
I think it is.
Yeah, I was like, why is this popping in my head? And that's...
It's also Candace's birthday. So it makes me sad every time I see it. Not to, like, downer. But yeah. Anyway, moving on. By that time, she had committed 12 known murders.
Known, yeah.
Known, keyword.
Known.
How many did she confess to?
31.
I want to know who those people were. I mean, they were probably mostly in the hospital.
Yeah.
Because...
You know what I found funny?
What did you find funny?
That she wanted to be found sane.
Yes!
So she could have a chance of being released. That alone tells me she was not sane.
You know what? And that got me too. I'm like, the fact that she even said that.
Yeah.
And like literally she had said at one point that she wanted to be like this person that murdered more people than anyone.
Yeah. But that alone tells me that she valued human life so little. If you kill one person, you have a chance of going to prison for like forever.
Yeah.
But the fact that she thought so little of these lives that she had a chance of getting out with 31 murders.
Yeah.
Tells me that she was a fucking nutter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the good thing is that being tried as sane means that you're not likely to, if she were to be found guilty, not likely to get out anytime soon. But then again, she was institutionalized anyway. So.
She was never going to get out.
No
matter what.
Either way.
Sane, insane, nothing.
Did you see that she had actually even poisoned herself at one point?
To get sympathy from men she was dating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's how it goes.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And she claimed that she could not be insane if she knew what she was doing was wrong.
Right. And that, I think, is like the legal definition.
Right.
But also, did she know it was wrong? Yes. Did she care?
No.
So I think that does mean something.
I guess. Either way, she was declared insane.
Either way, you shouldn't be in public. The general population of
And she was declared insane.
Yes.
And found not guilty by reason of insanity. And committed for life at the Taunton Insane Hospital. And then she died at the age of 84. Bitch. She shouldn't have been able to live that long.
No. I still say that we should just shoot him.
Yep. What's interesting is, so I did put down, obviously, the list of... Sorry. That one just went down really weird.
That's what she said.
Uh-huh. And then I saw something, Edna Bannister, the sister-in-law of Elizabeth.
Okay.
Which is her stepsister, sort of. Not really.
Oh, she killed her too?
Supposedly.
Interesting.
I mean, it's just...
Yeah, right.
I mean, everybody, for the most part, everybody she murdered was older.
Mm-hmm.
With the exception of the Davis family children, who were in their 40s. And Florence Calkins? No. No.
Just kidding.
Florence Calkins was the housekeeper.
Okay.
Okay, you know what? I'm just reading this. Like, I forgot this part. Florence Calkins, it's noted that she was the housekeeper for Elizabeth. But that doesn't make any fucking sense.
No. Unless she killed another housekeeper.
Maybe. And well, I mean, Elizabeth was a very common name.
Yeah.
So, anyway. But that's pretty much all I had in terms of the murders. The murders.
Same.
So for the haunting, you want me to start this one or you want to do it?
Well, considering that.
Yeah.
It's blank for me.
So, well, okay. So here's the problem. What I did was I tried to research. First, I looked at Cambridge Hospital and I looked at Massachusetts General, both of which are still in operation. So I'm thinking that you're not going to find a whole lot of information on hauntings from those hospitals, right?
Well, honestly, yeah, true, and guaranteed they probably are both haunted.
Yes,
But who's gonna be like, oh, that's Jane Toppan?
yeah, I mean, like, she'd have to do an EVP session and actually say,
yes,
"Hi, my name is Jane Toppan."
yeah, and I was an asshole.
Like, that's not likely to happen.
No.
But so what I did was, and then I tried to find the addresses of these different people, but I couldn't find anything. And like, if I just even Googled the names,
they're probably common.
1800s, early 1900s,
Get it? Yeah.
I couldn't find any addresses because I'm thinking like that would be ideal, right? Because she obviously, as a private nurse, was in their homes. And again, you know, it goes to that idea of if it's someone's private residence, they may not tell people. Like, my address isn't on the World Wide Web of hauntings.
Right.
Well, that's actually a lie.
Well, we probably put it there.
Well, that, and I had actually done an interview with somebody, I remember.
The psychic?
Yeah.
I remember that, yeah.
So it's like in the New York Post or something. I don't think my address is there, but even
Probably
still.
not. Yeah, no.
Yeah, like, if you Googled my name,
it might come up.
it would come up, right? This, not so much. What I did find is, and it's not uncommon, and unfortunately we can't, again, really can't talk, that it's her, but the Taunton State Hospital. Found a couple of interesting things about this, though.
Oh.
So, for one thing, now, talk about going off on a tangent, right? It's actually located within the Bridgewater Triangle.
Really?
It is. So I thought that was interesting.
Do you want to explain what the Bridgewater Triangle is to people?
So the Bridgewater Triangle is this section of Massachusetts where basically it's like this hotbed of activity for paranormal, for cryptozoology, if you don't know what that is. It's like Bigfoot. What are some of the other ones? I can't think of. I always think of Bigfoot and that's it.
I don't know. Jersey Devil would be considered.
Right. Yeah. Like any kind of strange animal, like Mothman, all of that kind of stuff. UFOs, right? So it's just, for some reason in this particular triangle of Massachusetts, all of those things are far more common.
Yeah, and no one knows, like, you have, like, the Bermuda Triangle, Alaska Triangle. You like, these triangles, no one knows if it's, like, ley lines, magnets, or, like, there's
something
something going
earth,
on, and, yeah, no one knows exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But it is there.
So, also of note, do you know who was imprisoned just down the block from that hospital?
Who?
Take a guess.
Fuck, God, there's so many options.
Well, we did an episode on this person. Who else was in Massachusetts? Fall River, specifically.
Oh!
Yes.
Her,
Lizzie Borden took an axe. Yeah. She apparently was imprisoned.
I'd say girl power, but that's a whole different...
Yeah, no, we don't... No. So,
Damn.
I thought that was really interesting. So between the Bridgewater Triangle...
So wait, is Fall River in the Bridgewater Triangle?
You know what? I think it is. I think it might be.
This is all interesting.
Right? Like...
if I had, like, a mustache, I would, like... Oh.
Yeah, so...
Wow.
I mean, there's also... While I look this up... there were also, like, the whole satanic rituals and all of that fun stuff supposedly carried out in the basement. And there's, like, strange writing, you know, I don't know. So, first of all, wow, apparently that drink is a lot stronger than I expected.
Might be having dinner here.
I may be sleeping here. You don't know if that stuff took place. It's much like a lot of the cases, right? Even the Donner Party or Gettysburg, we don't know if some of this activity is directly linked to the experiences.
It's hard unless you know what that person looked like or they actually identify themselves somehow.
And it's very unusual to get a name in an EVP.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there was a lot of that. Apparently there were all sorts of symbols in the basement. People reported being touched and pulled in certain areas of the hospital. And of course, you know, when I found this information, it doesn't tell me like when, right? Was it still in operation? Because I believe it was demolished completely in like I want to say 2009,
Mm.
somewhere around there. But it's interesting. It was on the Register of Historic Places, and I believe part of it is still in use for I forget exactly what it is, but something to do with like women, and I don't know if it's like a hospital or some kind of facility. But there are disembodied voices, blood curdling screams. People would say they heard cries for help and sobbing while walking through the hospital. Bloody handprints. And again, this is one of those, without knowing like when it happened, you know, somebody could have taken fake blood and put it on their hand and right on the wall.
Right.
You know, and again, it's not to say that I don't believe. I absolutely think this place was haunted. Given the fact of the time period in which it operated and the things that they were doing that today would be considered like torture.
Yeah.
Right? Lobotomies, shock treatments that were just, they weren't done with any kind of anesthetic.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be surprising to me if it's haunted or was haunted when it was still standing. Even the ground, right? There's no reason to think that that area isn't.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure they had like a potter's field of some sort.
I'm sure. But, and I even wrote in my notes, strange markings have been found in the basement, likely done by trespassers after the fact. Look, the truth of the matter is, like, when we redid part of the upstairs, we bought a fake skeleton and put it in the wall.
Yeah, so, I mean...
I cannot wait until the day I sell that house and somebody else moves in, and, like, I would love to see,
Well,
like,
and you also have to disclose that it's haunted.
Yeah.
And then they see the skeleton.
It hasn't been particularly active lately.
Still, and then you see the skeleton.
Yeah. I mean, not a real one. I bought it at Lowe's for like $15. But like, we were gonna like under the flooring draw like pentagrams.
I made a bomb
and
drink.
stuff.
I'm just saying.
You're gonna what?
I made a bomb drink. That was fucking good.
Yeah, did you like mine?
It's pretty good.
Clearly not as much as you liked your own.
It's the pineapple juice, truly.
I think. Well, yeah. It was. And what's funny is you don't like sweet drinks. And
don't.
That was definitely on the sweeter side.
That was good.
You know what it is? It's because vodka doesn't. I'm telling you, vodka doesn't have a lot of flavor.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, it goes down easy.
I'm gonna walk down this and just fall right down
Please
this
don't. For the love of God.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm surprised you don't like this more.
I do.
I think
it might be the cucumber.
I think I maybe probably could have. And it's funny because it called for like 3 cucumber slices, a 1/4 inch thick, and I literally brought like these tiny little bits of cucumber.
It would have been like a lot of cucumber.
Maybe I muddled it too much. I beat the shit out of it. Shouldn't have beaten the shit out of it. Should have tapped it a few times. Pat. Okay. So, but I will say that when the hospital was still open, apparently staff would attempt to go into the basement, but couldn't go any further than the bottom step, and they would claim that they were stopped by an unseen force. So, I mean, again, I hate to say this because it's going to sound like I don't believe, but I do. Unfortunately, there's just this stigma attached to basements.
Yep.
They're creepy.
They are creepy.
Attics are creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Basements are more creepy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's that whole like feeling like, especially if there's no windows, it's whole
enclosed.
Yes.
You can't see the corners. Yeah.
It's usually dark and cobwebby and gross and whatever. Like, unless you have a finished basement that's really pretty, and generally that's not the case in an insane asylum. You know, there's that. So, what are your thoughts while I try to find out more about Fall River and the Bridgewater Triangle?
About the haunting?
Just in general. Sure.
Really? I mean, I kind of said my thoughts, but I'm sure either she's haunting somewhere or... I mean, I don't even know necessarily if her victims were. Not the older ones anyway. They probably kind of passed on peacefully.
Yeah, I mean, you know, okay, I'm going to sound like an asshole here.
What, they lived a full life?
No, not even that. I mean, okay, look, what she did to them was fucked up.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is they were obviously or likely dying.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I will say is that if she overdosed them on morphine...
Yeah, they didn't really know much.
It was probably more peaceful.
Yeah.
In some ways than it could have been.
Yeah, the strychnine that's shitty.
Yeah, that's god-awful. But I feel, and I'm not saying it's okay. I am in no way condoning this because I don't know what the status of each of those patients was. They could have been in there for like a broken hip.
Yeah, and it could have been perfectly healthy otherwise.
Right. So I'm not condoning it, but I'm saying, like, in the event that, sorry if you hear me typing, I'm trying to find information. In the event that they were suffering, in the event that they did have some terminal illness that made them very ill, like physically, you know, maybe they had pain or vomiting or whatever, if she gave them morphine and they were so fucking out of it, they probably were better off in some ways.
Right.
Which is why, like, and you know, I've heard so many stories, it's not just her, like, over, like, years and years, you always, it's like a generational thing of these angels of mercy there.
Right, except I don't see her as that. I don't think she fits that because she has a sexual aspect. Where most of the angels of mercy do not. They look at themselves as like do-gooders.
Yep.
And hers, I think, were purely, her motivation, I think, was completely different.
Yes, I do agree with that. I think for her, it was just, she was just fucked up. Like, I think for her, it was control.
Yeah, yeah.
Versus, you know, because, like, this could get into the whole idea of assisted suicide, right? Like, I think that assisted suicide is for people who have, let's say, Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, right? I feel like if I were in that kind of situation, I wouldn't want to be a burden on my family. I wouldn't want to get to a point where I couldn't do anything for myself, speak, or anything like that. So, like, there are countries that allow it. And I feel like in a situation like that, it's one thing. But they would have to give consent. Let's start there. She did not obtain consent for what she was doing.
No.
And like I said, I think that for her, it was definitely a control thing. And just the sexual aspect of it, like, I'm sorry, just how do you, ew, just no.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you know, okay. So then to your point about treating women, right, who were hysterical, I wonder if that was something that was, like, highly publicized at the time.
I don't think so.
I mean, we don't know for certain, but I'm curious then, thinking about it, like, is it something that she thought maybe had some kind of, I don't know,
I mean, she would have probably known about it because she was in the medical field.
Right. Yeah. So, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe, I'm not saying that she was doing it because she was a good person, but maybe she was curious about the idea of it.
I mean, but the thing is, she said she got a sexual thrill.
Yes.
Yeah, she wasn't trying to give them a sexual thrill.
No.
And if she was, I don't think she would drug them.
No. All right, well, thanks. I'm just trying. And for the record, first of all, I'm stupid. Yeah. Clearly shouldn't be drinking and doing this. Like, looking things up.
Well, this is our job right now.
It is, but I'm saying, like, I should. Because I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the map, right? So I pulled up the map of Bridgewater Triangle to see if
Correct Mundo
Fall River was in it. And clearly at the very bottom of this picture, you can see that Fall River does not.
It could have a tributary, though.
Within, you know. But it's not that far outside. So I, like an idiot, I'm like, well, I don't see Fall River inside the triangle. Let me look up where Fall River is in Massachusetts. And, like, duh, dumbass, it's right there in front of your face. Anyway. So yeah, so it's not in the Bridgewater Triangle.
Gotcha.
So, but she ended up there.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. So there's that. I'd be very curious to see if any of the locations that she lived in are haunted. I wish we could find that out. But we cannot. I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
No. So, I think that kind of concludes our Jane Toppan Jolly Jane Honora Kelly episode.
Yeah.
So next week, we're doing it.
We're doing it.
We're doing it.
With Bill?
Yes. So I already confirmed it.
Okay.
We are going to do the episode on Herb Baumeister. Is it Herb?
Herb. Herbie Herb. Herbie Herb.
Herbie Herb. Yeah, and then we'll be in a new location.
We should make Bill come up with a drink for that.
We should.
We're making do all the work.
You do the research. You figure out the drink.
And we'll sit there.
Yeah.
And then just roast him the entire time.
I'm telling you, we so I think I said this last time, like the whole idea of like doing an episode with a tens unit. I think that would be hysterical. We need to come up, like I feel like we need to do something funny. I mean, we're great just as we are. I think it would be funny to like do
Having
something.
Bill on.
All right, let's put the tens unit. I have one, you know.
Big Bill did the tens unit.
I don't want him to piss his pants. Or like okay, so you saw the video I sent you, right?
Yeah.
It's a German woman who was trying to eat Jell-O. First of all, I think eating anything while wearing a tens unit is probably a really bad idea. That's a good way to choke and die. But I guess it's good it's Jell-O. But anyway, yeah. So, I mean, we could put it on our hands and try to do an episode. I think it would be hysterical. I don't know. I feel like we should do it. I don't know why I'm so infatuated with this whole idea.
Maybe at the end of next week's episode we could do it.
We could do something. I'm just whatever the word is I'm looking for. It's some word I cannot come up with at the moment.
Obsessed?
A little bit, apparently.
Yeah.
So that does it for this week.
It does.
It does.
It done it.
It does. Oh, Lord. I shouldn't do that. It sounds so manly. I don't need any help. I'm already halfway there. I got the manly haircut. Shave the sides of my head. Need a haircut.
So.
She just ignores me. It's like, yeah, whatever, bitch. Fucking idiot.
Follow us on social media. Email us if need be.
And we have a website, remember?
We've got a website.
Yeah, please.
Gravecrimes.com.
Please email us. And maybe make requests.
Do it.
Please, if you have a haunted location near you, like let's start there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we have
Dogs are
Amityville.
going batshit downstairs.
Clearly.
Yeah.
So we have Amityville. There's got to be a place like that somewhere else.
I'm sure.
Other than the ones that we like know about.
Mm.
Yeah. So we have to do. We'll do herb, and then I feel like maybe we need to move into like this century. After that, well, that's in the century, right?
Yeah. That was like
maybe,
the 80s.
maybe we need to stay here a little bit.
We're trying.
I feel like we've been in the past a lot. God, I mean, it's a little bit more interesting, but it's so hard to find shit. Their documentation was not great in some cases.
I think it was pretty good. It's just not all on the internet now.
The interwebs. I can't
Interwebs.
drink the rest of that. It's pretty and it tastes good. I just can't drink anymore. I haven't eaten since like 11 o'clock this morning.
Ooh.
So I may eat your broccoli.
And broccoli with my chicken and my rice.
That you haven't made yet.
I haven't made it yet. Gotta go cook.
All right. So thank you all for watching and or listening. And I guess we'll see you and be in your ear holes next week.
I like that. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.